podcast where we put you on the map. This is Ron Costa broadcasting live from the Mappable USA studios in Las Vegas, Nevada. And folks, today we're going to start talking about some blockchain again, how it affects your lives. And I know you say, Ron, blockchain doesn't affect my life right now. There's nothing going on in blockchain that affects me directly. So are you sure about that? Because you may want to listen to this podcast. We've got a lot going on in this industry. And let's introduce Vicky Hutchmala from the World Token Market to help us out. Vicky, how you doing today?
I'm fine today. I'm fabulous today, Ron. And as always, another great day in Vegas and another exceptional guest on our podcast. And we're going to give you the truth and tell you how blockchain is expanding and how it's starting to get everybody's attention. So let's get started.
Yeah, I can't wait to get into this. So let's introduce Syndney Armani. Syndney is the founder of FinTechWorld. He's been on the show before. Syndney, how you doing over there today?
I'm doing fine. Good to talk to you, Ron, and good to talk to you, Vicky. Thanks for having me back.
It's always great to have you on the show. Yeah, it's always great. We did a podcast a while back on blockchain. It got so many questions being asked and comments. People look at blockchain as this mysterious thing, but yet it's prevalent, it's there. And Syndney, I know you're doing so much in this industry right now. I mean, I just went on your website the other day and I saw, man, look at all the stuff that this guy's into right now. So I don't know how you have time to do anything else, right? You're a busy guy.
Yeah, I am busy, and well, thanks very much. I'm busy, but these are the exciting time, basically, and we always been very upfront and straightforward with your audience, actually, because, a lot of things, like any industry, that with something like that happen, you remember the internet, everybody, a lot of them came, but look what happened. We had a lot of .com. I live in Silicon Valley at the time, but we have companies right now, huge companies like Amazon, and nobody thought that some people can sell books on the online. Look at what Amazon getting to the other people. So you never know. Like any industry, that in the beginning you have a lot of other people with a lot of good idea, which is wonderful. But some of them is going to be winner. But talking about blockchain, it's infrastructure. Really, blockchain is a decentralized and chain of the information, which works with a lot of industry. And some of it could be in enterprises, but some of it is very good for healthcare, airplane parts. It's very changing our life in the future. That's what's happening. As I mentioned on your last podcast, when you see companies like Microsoft, Oracle, and IBM, for that matter, they are in the blockchain. If any of your listeners, put IBM and the blockchain and Google it, Microsoft or Oracle, they see these people. They're actually, for years, they're building the infrastructure for the future application that helps us our daily life. Nobody thought there would be GPS going to be in every of our car, every phone. Now here, we cannot, nobody going to stop by and asking for the address. They're right there, other things. So this is, to sum it up, blockchain is here to stay. And there's some application that could be very useful in our daily life or in a human life.
Yeah,
well, and every fabulous idea starts kind of goofy. People think you're crazy because, like you said, people thought the Wright brothers were crazy because they wanted to fly. People thought the internet was crazy because who would even use it, or a cell phone, or a television. And all of these things started off and people thought they were nuts, but now they're everyday part of our world and they evolved. And that's what's going on with blockchain. It started off, people thought it was crazy, wasn't going to go anywhere, but now big companies are starting to integrate it into their management, into their processes, and it's becoming a common everyday thing. And it's into all kinds of stuff, like movies and documentaries. And tell us, Syndney, what are you doing along in that line?
That's great. Thanks for asking. Actually, I talked to you previously about that. We have one of our elements, as Ron was mentioning, about FinTechWorld. We have a couple of elements, actually, algorithm in FinTechWorld. It's all setting up over there. One of them is basically the FinTechWorld media, which is, we've been doing it since 2012. A lot of conferences, a lot of, documentary. We have, we have people actually that came and talk about Bitcoin in 2014, and they said, everybody laugh at them, but here, look at the $60,000 Bitcoin. So we have, in FinTechWorld, we've been having a couple of the platform basically on the FinTechWorld.com. It's one of them has to do with the movies, basically a crypto film fund, and one of them for real estate is a blockchain CRE, because you will see that, real estate is going to get blockchain technology, and, you will have, people look at it, and it's very transparent. So the other one, basically, we have in stem cell research lab, and that's what we have it on the blockchain. And so these are a couple of ours, and they're all there in the FinTechWorld. But under the crypto film fund, we started our first movie, which has been on the pipeline, and it's called, Bitcoin Seduction, basically. And I can tell you more about the Bitcoin Seduction, which is all about the docudrama, but it's more of a explaining how the Bitcoin started, how people got into it, and, and basically, this kid started and what is it going. So we're very excited about it. And, if you're asking about it, it's in production right now.
Very nice. Back in the early 2000s, I worked for the March of Dimes, and I was the director in the state of Nevada, and at the time, March of Dimes was very active in mapping the human genome and this new research on stem cells and financing the research and everything like that, working with fetal alcohol syndrome. And now FinTechWorld Group is now into stem cells on the blockchain. So how does that work? Because that's fascinating to me.
Yeah, that's part of it, basically. And, we work with the stem cell lab. We work with a couple of the scientists, actually Dr. Arnaud, and as a matter of fact, that they have been involved in the stem cell research and other things. And this is when we're talking the stem cell, everybody gets scared and say, well, it's fetus. No, you can actually use your own stem and reproduce it and, multiply it and kind of, work on your own. So it's nothing has to do with any kind of a fetus or any of this. Although people in this country for a long time in America, they bank the embryos, basically they keep it for later on. And so the banking exists, but you actually using it is different. So Dr. Arnaud and the Stem Cell Lab, they've been around for almost 40 years, and they work with the Christopher Reeve Foundation, with the Nancy Reagan Foundation. So it's been as in UC Irvine. And then so they have a couple of, places actually, that for treatment center, two in Mexico, a couple of one in India, and some in China, basically. So it works basically for psoriasis, very deep psoriasis. It's worked for mostly the people with have a pain in, they have surgery, they have pain in their knees, and they're developing for others, basically, even COVID. So, but it's all in the process. So what blockchain, you asked to answer your question, what blockchain over there, because it works with a lot of other scientists, because we want to find a common, cure for all these things, basically. So they can send all this information, they share this information to come up with a solution when it comes to the stem cell and the future health. So that's what, we can see that somebody does somewhere in different places, because everybody gets their information, everybody, they can kind of idea, especially in the science. And look what happened right now, because the great thing is about that, Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson and other, we come with the COVID, they're cooperating with each other, it's not competing, and that's the best thing, because when it comes to medicine, when it comes to the human, other thing, everybody is not a company, they put that aside, which is the wonderful things happening right now in the world, in America. Is not that somebody come with some sort of kind of a cure and they want to say, well, we're exclusive. And that's what you see in the stem cell and the blockchain, and it will happen, basically. Everybody know about the information.
Well, and so that's what March of Dimes started the whole process of research into human genomes and what you can do with them, and expanded. And 20 years later, here we are, And now we're working with each individual stem cell to help that person with their own stem cells make their life easier to live and live longer, healthier. And it's the same thing. You start with an idea, you share it with other people, and other people put their 2 cents into it, and then you have a cure for this, that, and the other, or you have a fabulous documentary about what blockchain is, or you use tokens to invest in real estate. It's what can you think of and share and make a team that will create a reality out of somebody's crazy idea. It's a fascinating world we live.
Yeah, I know, and that's what you see of it right now, because it's accessing the little people, basically. You see all this phenomenon with the Wall Street and the guys with Reddit and Robinhood. Is because they were giving small individual investors to play the big game with the other one. Why not? We all have to be investors. Our fathers and grandfathers were investors in America. Everybody sees that the house has just been, we are also, we see, the housing, which it still is, big property, owning your own property is the best thing. But what happened instead of, getting the money and, invest for the, whatever future it is on, be accessing to, like the big guys in the Wall Street, accessing to some sort of kind of investment. Well, again, we're going to mention that the investment, it's a risky investment, so you might lose your money. You got to do your due diligence, talk to everybody, your financial other thing before you do any kind of investment. It's not like so. This is very important. But this is giving access, the playing level of the playing field for everybody, basically, to be doing that. So you see that this technology will help you. Yeah.
Syndney, this stem cell fund that you've done right now, is it something that exists today? You guys are picking up investors to fund this idea of the stem cell research, and it's happening today, right? This research isn't just theoretical. It's going to happen. It's happening now.
Yeah, it's happening right now. We have a private investor. We are institutional investors, basically, not individual investment, but we have individual investment, but must be accredited investors, basically. So we're not actively, looking for individual investors, to looking for that to be by the rule. And still is a rule. It's still the SEC. It's still other thing over there. But they're institutional. They invest money. They're research. So that's on the STEM side. But hopefully in the future, when we will deal with the compliance, and you can see other people basically getting to it. But at this time, whoever wants to invest, they have to be accredited investors on this.
Yeah, it's exciting. Yeah, that's definitely a great topic, and the potential for this stem cell. I don't really understand too much of it, but I do know that there's just amazing applications for this now and in the future, and it's great research. I think hopefully this thing kind of really opens up doors for what can happen with the stem cell research. Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah, that's. But but again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not claiming to be one. But I talked to most of the scientists, people who have been involved in this thing. Still needs a lot of work. It's a lot of issue in it, basically. So it's not like anybody said, well, we're going to be cure you or cure cancers, other thing over there. It's not that. But, for a fact, what I have witnessed myself in some of those places that, they do it like, in Costa Rica and other places, they call it more of a medical tourism. It works on some people's knees, if they have pain. But, again, I want to mention to your listeners, this is not from embryo. So it's all from your own. They take your own stem and multiply it and work on it, put on the lab and the clean places, and they kind of inject your own stem, but after multiplication on that over there. So it's not, anything like that, that's a great thing. But to answer your question, Ron, this is still working, but you can see this in the future that a lot of people, they're going to get benefit from it if they have, from Parkinson, from other thing over there. It's happening basically. So that's good. That's
great. And just to get back to what we talked about earlier with the film, to change subjects really quickly, how did you guys come up with the idea to do this documentary based on blockchain? Did you have writers for this, or is it your kind of brainchild, or what?
No, this has been in the pipeline for about a couple of years, and we have a great screenwriter, and we have people of they write documentary, and so it's all in the process. So it's just a big phenomenon. But in the film, we're going to be not talking about. We're going to say what's because it's not Bitcoin is the criminal using Bitcoin. People get rich in the Bitcoin. So you have to be kind of the vehicle. You have. Right now in African country, they buy Bitcoin. Some of the country, they said, you don't want it, and, they seize Bitcoin. So it's going to be very honest about it, basically. How would it be?
Absolutely.
Institutional right now to be in it, So we're going to be opening up about how the Satoshi, which is creator of the Bitcoin, and nobody knows who he is, and to be honest with you, right now, one of the exchanges, like everybody knows, Coinbase, they're going to public. They are, estimated. I haven't been in the, in the public yet, but they estimated it's going to be $100 billion, somewhere around $1 billion are going to be in the public. But in there, because when you disclose your S1, on your, in stock, and when you want to go public, and we said, what do you see the danger? Whatever you see that there, you have to write it down. One of the dangers they wrote down and said, what happened if somebody Satoshi is showing himself out? So that's a danger. Nobody knows who is this guy. They said it's a Japanese, it's a Rick. So we're going to talk about the documentary and docudrama, some of the reenacting, and start from the Wall Street of 2060, decentralized. Everybody, was tired of the bank and they wanted to have some sort of kind of money. And it's just adopting right now. Still, the Fed and other people basically that said, no, it's not good now here. People like Goldman Sachs, people, Chase, that they always dismiss it. You can't dismiss this anymore in the Bitcoin, man. But it's not about the Bitcoin, because you could see dollar is going to be digitized. Everything is going to be digitized, basically. And I always talk when I go different places, and I'll talk about money as we know it, because I bring this story of the, Marco Polo, because Marco Polo went to China. When he came back in Italy, one of those nice churches, and he said, what did you bring? He shows the paper and said, this is money, and to the priest. And everybody laughed, and the priest just threw all those coins that those days they had it in their bag, if you imagine it. He threw it all in the chamber and said, this is money. Drink, drink, drink. It talks to you, and here's the paper. So the money as a paper, we know it started, after the coin in the history. Now we have credit card. Now we have other things, basically. Now with this pandemic, you go to Starbucks, everybody using their phone to pay. Everybody not touching everything right now. So everything has to be digital. So you can see money as we know it is going to be differently. There's still places, basically, I don't know, in the old West that, they go and take the money, and with those coaches of, Wells Fargo, you have to imagine, everybody, they transfer the money, and you had those people stopping at one of those Western films, and, those people, they get the money on there. But, right now, the banks, they're doing it all the time, digital. They send it to the Fed send it to it. So digital money and different currency exist. There's part of this, Bitcoin and other currency is called stable coin. If anybody search it, and it's very, it's just too long if we discuss it in this program, but the banks accepting this stable coin because it's equal. Some of the banks, they write it down. Right. It's like money. You just put it in the bank, you just get your money. So this is the evolution and revolution is happening in the, digital finance and digital assets. So that's what is going on, the bigger picture out there.
Yeah, and another reason why this is so important is because a lot of things that we've seen here, as far as the people who know about blockchain and Bitcoin, a lot of people use those terms interchangeably. So just on that one point alone, I think this documentary needs to educate a lot of people, because they're not the same. A lot of people think it is. It's a very big misconception in the industry.
Yeah, we're going to be in we're going to be in a very corner knowledge, like we are going to reenact things. So it's not like all this, we're going to be basically show in just the everyday life, how would it be basically? And, not taking any side, because you have to say, well, the criminal use this Bitcoin, but, we have the FBI and other people are actually catching these people, and that's how it is. So it's we got to let them know, kids buying it. I know a lot of kids bought Bitcoin for about that. And, the Bitcoin started by just somebody sent about one Bitcoin and said, go get me a pizza. So we're going to talk about that in acting. It's just very amazing. Somebody sends some money from some other country and say, can you buy with this digital money, and they buy a pizza. So we're going to talk about that. How would it be? Kind of introduce us without kind of taking side. And some of the good we have great script writers, they're working on it, rewriting it. And so I'm very excited. But it shows, what we think. We have great export of this, phenomenon that they have been involved in the day one, and we're gonna touch everything. So it will be a good documentary to be out there. Basically, people know what it's all about. Basically, but yeah.
When do you anticipate it being ready to release? When can people see it?
Well,
do you
that's
have a time
a good
frame?
question. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good question. We don't want to just give any kind of something out there, because we're going to be we want to make people that use this documentary for future. People are not of it. So I have no answer for you, Vicky, but we're not any rush in this thing, because this is evolving. There are other coins right now we want to talk about, like Ethereum, basically, and this is another subject that right now I think your audience and everybody is, in this digital world knows about this $60 million about non-fungible token, which is NFT, and this is a big phenomenon happening right now, but nobody knows. Is this fab? Is this real? Is this bubble? But we have digital art just bought out by, that's another thing, anybody out there, check it. It's called non-fungible token, which is NFT basically, and this is something that the $60 million digital art bought it, but it's more than that. You can see all these, again, go back to that not touching anything. You can see a lot of people doing these trading cards basically for the baseball, for football, and these are and there are some of these digital exchanges of. So this is a big things going on. We're going to talk about that. So this is evolving. We don't want to leave anything out, and there's no rush out there, because FinTechWorld in our medias, if you go to the site, you see, we have over 300 videos since 2012, basically, and it's, we have report from Capgemini, and the PwC. It's more of an education. We want to be in this movie. We want to be more of talk to the people very, straightforward, but people who understand it. But we want to somehow, as it's evolving, we want to put this as part of it, more of a, Ethereum, NFTs and some other coins that it's not only Bitcoin. And so, and also digital dollar. So back to your question, there's no rush, but, we're working on it. I can tell you we have done about like almost 50% of it, but we want to put as we go about, we're going to put some of these things on it, so we'll be a complete. Yeah.
That's
movies are not. If you want to just keep some good product out there, you need to have the right people, right project, and right information about it. And this is again, this is an industry that is evolved now, and is evolving. You don't want anything left. Look at in the past 2 weeks right now, everything is happening with NFT. It's a big phenomenon. We got to know what's going on.
Exactly. It's all happening, and people don't realize it. That's why I started the show off by saying, blockchain is affecting people's lives today. And, and then just one more point about the movies, Syndney, is COVID has really changed the way a lot of people watch movies. Obviously, movie theaters are shut down. Everybody's watching them streaming services and Netflix, Amazon Prime, et cetera. Do you see in the future, or even right now, do you see other companies like yourselves or whatever doing the fund and raising money to create these films via the blockchain? Do you think that's going to be a trend?
Yeah, no, and that's a great question, Ron. Thanks for asking, because that's what we created, the crypto film fund, basically. It's sitting right there, and because it's more for independent filmmakers. People want to, in a way, it's like a crowdfunding. And again, crowdfunding right now, if, RexCF, we have a couple of brands, and basically on the RexCF, and you can raise about almost $5 million. They just evolved. Before it was about $1 million, and not very much you could do with that for entrepreneur, movie maker. And so you can, and the crypto film fund, that's what you can see. So this is like a poster child for future filmmaker, independent filmmaker. So they can raise money and they can do production. And back to what you say about the companies like Netflix, Amazon, Apple, and other people that, they have these streaming network, they're very much interested because they want to put as much as in their catalog, and we're talking to someone, I just cannot mention who or where because, but this is give another option to the future filmmaker, they don't need to have a big budget going on. They can have something very exciting. And right now, if you look at the Oscar this year, a couple of the nominations, they're not a big, bang, like in any of these DC con. They're very simple and beautiful films, basically, in some of the languages. So yes, you could see like, Nomad Land, and some of those, they are just very simple and beautiful, but they're being nominated. So you can see future filmmaker, if anybody out there, the kids, and then you can see them, actually it's a very way of, getting funding, and always it's a start with the funding with the family, friends, but if they have a good script, good thing, they can come to some of our platform, maybe the future, and kind of raise money. And there's some avenue available, all these streaming companies.
Yeah, is this fund the same as the stem cell fund where accredited investors only?
Well, no. If you go to the RexCF, which is regulation crowdfunding, there are companies out there that they have platform that they're already registered with SEC, and you go to some of those platforms, and you could raise under $250,000, and then if you have to have some financial over $250,000. Yeah, I'm not exactly right, but but you can raise money on that. But again, you have to have your screen, you have to have your you got to have something to put it over there. On those platforms, you don't need to be a accredited investor. Those are crowdfunding platforms, equity crowdfunding platforms. That's
and we've heard of this in through the grapevine and through our various networks that this is happening, and a lot of entertainment aspects are starting to look at blockchain and tokens and currencies like that to raise funds for entertainment in different areas, in different parts of the world, for movies, for athletics, for sports, for all kinds of things. It's like that when the internet started. It started slow, and then once people became used to it, understood it, and actually saw the advantage of it, it ballooned and it just became exponential. And that's what's happening with the blockchain. People are starting to understand it a little bit more, are saying, well, this could be great, and so they're participating. I think it's one of the major advantages, if there is such a thing, of the pandemic is it caused people to stop, to slow down, to look and see what the world was made of, and they discovered blockchain and currencies, and now look what's happened because of it, just because people slowed down and took a look at what was happening around them.
And in the same token, and for your audience out there, because we're media. I mean, I've been around myself, that, they have to do due diligence themselves. It is not everybody, forefront some athlete, some movie star or other thing over there, because that's not, and they usually put those people to fund them, to publicize from them, give us your money. You can't do that, and don't do that. You need to know what the product is, basically. And as a matter of fact, SEC, they're rather big phenomenon right now called SPAC, SPAC, basically, that you can raise pre-IPO, and they stopped it. They're using some of this athlete that you mentioned. They're starting some of this movie star they're using, and, they try to create, some funding. For anybody's out there, I would really tell them, don't just pay. And I don't do it myself. you have to check, see what's the product, who are these people are. If I find somebody and say, this is a guy, you know, he's a boxer, and I mean, there are some, I don't want to mention name, but they went after them basically. You know, I mean, it was just like, you know, because there was one of them was just recently a DJ. You know, the guy, he has a lot of followers and told them, buy this. And, you know, that's not the way. And a lot of people did because, you know, and it's nothing happened. So I really tell everybody that, you know, even in blockchain, anybody put the name. And a couple of years ago, and this big company in the SEC, you know, they are in market, you know, and they're in the stock market, they're using blockchain company. You cannot see, what do you do with the blockchain? It's not for everyone. So they're trying to, SEC stop them, so don't use that. So for your audience and anybody listening, you know, I mean, I'm glad over there, so, you know, wise audience, intelligence, don't go for some athlete, don't go for some movie star. See what the product is, so what the finishing product is. See what is the people around them beside those celebrities. Don't buy just because you know some celebrity. Go see their movie, but not buy. You know,
right. Yeah.
Exactly, because you have to be smart about what you're doing, especially in something that's new, something that is complicated like blockchain. No matter what it is, if you're going to spend your money, you have to know what you're spending it for. You have to be smart about that investment. And that's why we do the podcast. Ron and I, it's our main focus of our podcasts, to put out real information, to put out accurate information, and give our listeners the opportunity to look at something, but still you have to do your own due diligence to make sure what it is you're doing, because everything involves a risk.
Yeah, and along those lines, too, before we close out this podcast, Syndney, I just want to really touch upon something I know you're into as well. Can you talk a little bit about the commercial real estate aspect of tokenization? What do you see going on in that part? I know you're into that as well.
Yeah, I am actually. I have you know, I had earlier today before I got to your podcast, which is, I want to thank you for your podcast, because I'm always appreciate that, you know, you ask me to talk straightforward what's real and what's not. I mean, and that's the whole thing, and that's been my motto. If anybody's out there, look at some of those conferences that I speak about. I even tell them, you know, this is not good. I don't put my money, or this is, I like it. I'm into technology, not, you know, more of a finance. Technology, you can't stop technology. It's going to be evolving. And living in Silicon Valley, and I go everywhere that everybody said they like this word disruption. I don't like the word disruption. I think I mentioned in one of your podcasts. I like, you know, cooperation, addition, you know, putting something into there, you know, just like you're not going to go disrupt anywhere. Same thing in the real estate. Real estate is deals done, you know, traditionally. You know somebody, you see a building, you like it, you check it out, you see that, you know, and other things. So you got to conceal it, go to it and see what it's all about, the area. So that's not going to change basically. So people in the real estate know what we are basically working on, a blockchain CRE, which is .io, is that, you know, the way that commercial real estate could be putting the information. Again, go back to the information. You imagine they make a building, but all those information from plumber, for structure, for heating, air condition, everything, you know, they are contractors. So what they do, all these informations come to in the blockchain technology. If something happened in the building, they don't need to call everyone. They just get this information and click of the button, and that's its blockchain information. That's aspect of the commercial real estate. But the other way of the finance part of it that you were talking about is that you could see that in like REIT could be tokenized basically, but security token. So basically, which is not exist right now in America, but it's going to happen in the future, and they're working on it. They're doing some testing. Is that, you know, you can be owning a partial of that commercial real estate, not residential. We're not working on the residential. They're in a huge building. Then you can be anticipate buying this commercial, you know, asset basically, and digital asset, and that asset, that token, particularly for that building, be on the exchange, on the digital exchange. So you'll be able to sell it and buy it, you know, instead of, you know, as you know, it's very difficult, you know, to liquidation. Commercial real estate is very hard to liquidate. You have to wait. If you go to the REIT, if you buy something together, you have to wait the other guy sell it to you or other, but you could see these asset goes on this, on the exchange will be have some sort of kind of a value. People buy and sell at any time. So that's the aspects of the blockchain CRE. And what works on the blockchain that's what's working on the blockchain because you have these tokens, that smart token. They see exactly what's going on. So that's what
right. And we talked about this as well on a previous podcast with you as well. But Syndney, we talked about so much today. How would people get a hold of you, or if they have questions, what's the best thing they should do?
Yeah, the best thing is that they go to our website, FinTechWorld, FINTECH world.com. And, we have all the information. If you go to the media part of it and basically you see everything out there and, do that. But again, they can get in touch, and I'm in LinkedIn and they can come to LinkedIn, have any question. But also I would really highly recommend, you have done very well, Ron and Vicky. I'm glad, I listened to some of your podcasts, basically. I know you had, Danielle, basically, with the Symbiont, recently.
Yes.
That's very important guest that you have a lot of good guests in your thing. So I would really highly recommend to go to your archive, listen to some of those people, because like Danielle talks, some of these people talk, it's for future. That's secondary market. It's just ahead of. So you guys been a great job, and I highly recommend they go to your site. But as far as me, myself, I'm in LinkedIn.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And of course, we'll definitely link that into the show notes as well. And thanks you for the kind words. Vicky, how about this stuff? It's pretty interesting, huh?
It's in this little podcast that we did in the last 30, 40 minutes, we've exposed what the future is. The future is technology. As Syndney says, technology is not going away. It's only going to evolve into bigger things, and blockchain is the start of the future. And Syndney, you're just taking it as far as it can go, wherever it goes, and that's fabulous. You take the risk, but you do the due diligence, and now you're making a film, and you're into stem cell research. We can't imagine what you're going to be into the next time we do a podcast with you, Syndney, because it's fabulous.
No, but I want to say thanks, Vicky. But it's all planned. I had these plans since 2012. I'm lucky to live in Silicon Valley, so we see every day what's going on, basically. What's the next thing? I was lucky to see Netflix. I literally, you talk about Netflix. I live in Los Gatos, California. I took my, son now he's 25 years old. I take him to elementary school, right there, and here's the garage, what they're shipping video. That was Netflix. This is right there in Los Gatos, California. And so being in Silicon Valley, you don't need to be, but because you have the internet, it gives you a lot of perspective, what's real, what's not. But again, to people out there, if you're looking to be an entrepreneur, try it. No try, no done. Just get it done. Even if it's anything, get involved. And, if you have enough passion, which I have enough passion and persistent, and relentless. That's what you get started in the planning. You will be very successful. But, well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. I will tell you, we went through, art, cinema, movies, the medical, real estate, streaming, all kinds of different ways that blockchain is in our lives today, and a lot of people probably didn't even know it before this podcast. So I think we did a good thing out here. So, Syndney, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it. You're obviously welcome whenever you want to be a guest on the show again. And Vicky, thanks for co-hosting this podcast with me. It was great. I really enjoyed this one. And folks out there, you're listening to the Mappable USA podcast at MappableUSA.com. You just go to that website, scroll down, you'll see all our syndication sources. There are a lot of them. And just click the one you like best, subscribe, and you'll never miss another one of our episodes. If you want to be a guest in the show like Syndney was today, there's a guest tab there. Click that, fill out the form. We'll see what we can do about getting you on the show. And lastly, if you like what you heard, leave a comment on one of the pages that you're listening to, or send us an email, info@MappableUSA.com. So thanks, everyone, for your support. Thanks for listening. We'll be back at you next week with another Mappable USA episode. Have a great week, everyone.